This is my wife watching The Lord of the Rings for the first time. But this version of The Return of the King has 3 small changes, because I snuck myself in the background of 3 scenes. But why? Well, my wife is a pretty observant person, and she often notices details in movies that end up being important later. And since this is her first time watching one of the greatest movie trilogies of all time, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to see just how good her observational skills are. Would she notice her husband hiding in plain sight in The Lord of the Rings? If I was going to pull this off, it was going to take some serious work. At this point, we've already watched the first 2 movies of The Lord of the Rings, and we're a little bit into The Return of the King. We started it a while ago, and we're still not done yet. What's important to note though is that so far we've watched the entire trilogy on HBO Max. So first, I need a reason to tell my wife that we can't just finish the movie on streaming. Second, I'll need to find a way to put myself into the background of several scenes. And I have a rule for this challenge: no AI. That means I'm gonna have to do this the hard way. First things first, I figured the easiest way to have a believable excuse for staying away from HBO Max would just be to buy the DVD box set, extended editions of course. My wife and I have been gradually expanding our DVD collection lately anyway, so actually buying a physical copy of one of my favorite franchises is really not that out of the ordinary. And once I had the DVD, it was a simple matter of ripping the contents and putting them into my editing program. The easy part is done. Now I just have to film myself as some sort of background character. I figured with the beard, I look probably most like a writer of Rohan, so I decided to start there. This might be a little crazy, but I have a blanket. And on the other side, we have this kind of fake wool texture. And I gotta do something about my hair, because obviously I don't look very Rohirrim with short hair, and my wife's gonna recognize me right away if I do not do anything with my hair. So I have this old Halloween costume that's like a Jedi robe. So what I'm thinking is, I put the hood on, then I wrap this around my shoulders so it kind of looks like a cape or a cloak. And then here's the cherry on top. I have a freaking sword. I mean, it's not great, but it might work. This was not gonna work. Even though the green screen turned out pretty good, I just stood out like a sore thumb. And the even bigger problem is that I had stupidly already set a date for our Lord of the Rings watch party. I had clearly bitten off more than I could chew, so I decided to call in some backup. I'm struggling to find a shot where I can really fit myself in.
Yeah.
I'm on the phone with my brother Michael, who's something of a visual effects whiz. I figured he might have some ideas that could help. I obviously don't really have a costume that works very well.
Here's a thought. What if you just composite your face over one of the Rohirrim?
Compositing. It's a tedious process and would involve going frame by frame and manually adjusting my footage to match the footage I want to composite onto. And remember, I cannot use AI for this challenge, so this all has to be done by hand. That's very true. It'd be easier to do. I wouldn't have to worry about costumes, and then I could also sprinkle it in maybe 3 or 4 times. And even in different characters. With that decided, I found 2 shots I wanted to use. Éomer charging on the Pelennor fields, and Pippin rushing into Frodo's room at the end of the movie. So I filmed my versions of these shots, and sent them off to my brother to work his magic in After Effects. But with the clock ticking, I had to maximize my time, so I decided to tackle another problem I was facing. Okay, my wife is gone, so I need to find a DVD to burn this edited copy of The Return of the King onto, so I can then show her my version. Okay, this is a box full of old stuff, but I have a lot of random CD-ROMs and old DVDs in here. So I'm gonna gather up all the DVDs I can find. I'm gonna put them into my drive and see which ones are blank. And if hopefully I can find a blank one so I can do this easily. Things were off to a slow start, but while I struggled to find a blank DVD in my box of junk, my brother was hard at work on that composite. And it wasn't long before I got an email. this was a huge win. But I was slowly beginning to realize that I was facing yet another challenge. So the Return of the King Extended Edition on DVD is on 2 discs. Disc 1 has the first half of the movie, and disc 2 has the second half. Currently, we're still in the first half of the movie. So my original plan was to finish out the movie on disc 1, and then instead of putting in disc 2, I put in my own disc, which has the altered version on it. The problem I'm having though is that I don't think the file is gonna fit on any blank disc that I have. So now I'm thinking I'm probably gonna just put it on a flash drive, and then once we finish watching disc 1, I'm gonna have to act like I'm putting in disc 2, but actually play the second half of the movie from the flash drive. With that decided, I went out in search of a suitable flash drive. I found 2 options, a 32 gig flash drive and a 64 gig flash drive. And the decision I made between the 2 actually ended up saving the entire challenge. Not long after I bought the flash drive, I received a phone call from my brother. Hello?
Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
good. Did you check your email?
I haven't yet today. Why, did you send something?
I did.
What he sent blew me away. Quite possibly the best composite yet, and simultaneously the goofiest one. My face ridiculously composited onto Pippin's. The first composite may be subtle, but there's no way my wife is gonna miss this one. But I felt that I still needed one more subtle composite before the final big reveal, and I found the perfect spot.
You gave us your word.
I shot my footage and managed to composite this one myself in Premiere Pro. So now, midway through the King of the Dead's line, his face morphs into mine. With only 2 days before the watch party, I decided to test the DVD to see how smoothly this transition would go. Apparently that means that this it's supposed to be played in the UK or Europe, which makes sense because I think that's where I bought this from. It's a used copy. I did not anticipate this one. For the first time in my life, I had discovered DVD region codes. If you also don't know about these codes, they're essentially pieces of data embedded into the DVD. Each code is specific to a certain geographical location, which means that the DVD can only be read by a DVD player that was manufactured or intended for use in that same specific location. This is done for a number of reasons. 1, it prevents certain regions from playing the movie before the official release date in that country. And 2, the codes are used in some countries to adhere to governmental censorship laws. To avoid complications, I just decided to pretend the entire movie was on 1 disc instead of 2. So I combined the footage from both discs, screen recorded the main menu for added effect, and transferred the final video file to that 64 gig flash drive. Oh, and by the way, that would not have fit on the 32 gig flash drive. It's time. It's showtime.
A solo game!
And she has absolutely no reaction, which I realized was probably a good thing, because I hadn't really thought about what I would do if I had to explain my first appearance out of 3. And with the second one coming up, this was in the back of my mind.
Bad idea. They hadn't been a transport these lads, despite the fact they're dead.
You gave us your word.
Fortunately, I guess I don't stand out that much. But there was still one left, and I made sure this one was so obvious that it'd be impossible to miss. He hasn't seen Gandalf since he died.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
He thought he was dead the whole time.
Gandalf? That's crazy. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? How did you do that? What did you do?
I was in there 2 other times too.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't notice. How did you do that?
For
Is
what?
that why you bought the set?
That's why I bought this set. And then when David was coming down, I was like, oh, that's perfect. David could help me film.
This feels
as elaborate as your proposal to me.